Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hey Sara Sara. My name is Siley Raja, and I'll be your host. Hey Sara Sara is a multidisciplinary podcast where I sit down with students, founders, creators, and changemakers to explore the stories, passions, and ideas behind what they do. Today, we're joined by Nivedhya, a rising sophomore and the founder of the SafeNet, an initiative dedicated to educating people about cybersecurity, online scams, and digital safety. Inspired by a personal experience involving someone close to her, Nivedhya realized that online threats don't just impact finances. They can also affect confidence, mental health, and a person's sense of security. Through the SafeNet, she's working to make the internet a safer place through education and awareness. Today, we'll be talking about cybersecurity, leadership, and how one experience inspired her to create meaningful change. We're so excited to have you here. Welcome to the podcast, Nivedhya. Okay, so before we dive into the SafeNet, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are?
Of course. Hi, my name is Nivedhya Rajesh, and I'm a rising sophomore in high school. I'm really passionate about technology, neuroscience, and finding ways to help people. I love learning about how technology impacts our everyday lives, but outside of that, I also care a lot about the human side of it, like how the things we experience can affect our confidence, emotions, and well being. Other than that, I spend my time singing, volunteering, and baking.
Okay, great. And so let's start at the beginning. What inspired you to create the SafeNet, and why was this an issue you felt strongly about addressing?
So the SafeNet started from a personal experience that showed me how real the consequences of online threats can be. When my friend's younger brother was scammed online, I saw how deeply it affected him beyond the financial loss. It impacted his confidence, his trust in online spaces, and the way that he viewed his own ability to stay safe digitally. That experience made me realize that cybersecurity is not just about protecting passwords or personal information, but more about protecting people. With so many of us spending such a big part of our lives online, I noticed that there was a need for more accessible education around recognizing scams, understanding digital risks, and feeling empowered to navigate the digital world safely. That's what inspired me to start the SafeNet, a platform focused on turning awareness into action and helping people feel more prepared in an increasingly digital world.
I love that. Okay, so for someone hearing about the SafeNet for the first time, what's the elevator pitch?
So, the SafeNet is a student led initiative focused on cybersecurity awareness and online safety. We educate people about scams, digital threats, and ways that they can protect themselves online through educational content, outreach, and community initiatives. Our goal is to make cybersecurity education more accessible and help people feel safer and more confident in the digital world. As technology continues to grow, online threats become more common, but many people still feel alone when they experience them. Through our work, we've had the opportunity to connect with the National Center for Victims of Crime, an organization that supports victims and helps people navigate the aftermath of crime. Being featured in their newsletter helped us reach a wider audience and reinforce our mission of not only preventing scams, but also reminding victims that they're not alone and that support is available. So, in the end, always remember, click with care, show you're aware the SafeNet is always there.
I love that. Okay, so a lot of people think scams only lead to financial loss, but you've highlighted that they can have deeper effects. So why do you think online safety is also an important mental health issue?
So, a lot of people, like you said, think that the impact of scams ends when the money is lost, but the reality is that emotional effects can last much longer. So, research on fraud victims has shown that people often experience feelings of shame, embarrassment, stress, anxiety, and a loss of trust after being targeted. And in fact, studies have shown that victims don't report scams because they feel embarrassed or blame themselves, which shows how deeply these experiences can affect people emotionally. That's why I believe that online safety is not just about protecting data, but about protecting people.
Okay, great. And what's one online scam or cybersecurity mistake that you think teenagers should be more aware of?
So most people think that scams just happen through like suspicious links or obvious fake messages. But one scam I think teenagers should be more aware of is when someone's social media account gets hacked and the hacker starts messaging their friends. This is something that's happened to me and many of my friends. Because the message is coming from someone that you trust, it can feel very real at the moment. While preventing scams is a huge part of online safety, I also think it's important that people know what to do if they do become a victim. Through the SafeNet, we want people to understand that they're not alone and that support is available. the National Center for Victims of Crime provides resources and a helpline to help people navigate situations like these and find the support that they need. At the end of the day, our goal is to not only teach people about how to avoid scams, but also to remind victims that they should never feel ashamed or blame themselves for someone else's actions.
I agree. Okay, so was there a moment when you realized the SafeNet was making an impact or reaching people who truly needed it?
One of many moments that made me realize that SafeNet was making a real impact was when someone reached out to tell me that she thought her friend's account was hacked, and the hacker began messaging people from the account asking for money and pretending to be the account owner. And she told me that she was really scared because in the messages, it looked really legitimate, and she didn't know like her friend actually needed help or if it was a scam. What meant a lot to me was that instead of reacting hastily, she remembered some of the warning signs and tips that we had posted in our posts, and she verified the situation and realized that the account had been hacked. Thankfully, she didn't send any money or personal information. Hearing how frightened she was in the moment, but how empowered she felt afterwards because she knew what to do, reminded me why this work matters. Cybersecurity is not just about protecting devices or accounts, but about giving people the confidence to stay calm and make informed decisions when something goes wrong.
I love that. Okay, so you've already shown a willingness to advocate for change, even speaking up about issues at school. So where do you think that confidence and leadership mindset comes from?
A lot of my mindset comes from my parents. Ever since I was young, they've encouraged me not just to notice problems, but to think about how I could help solve them. They told me that leadership isn't about having a title, but about taking initiative and making a positive impact where you can. Whether that meant helping classmates feel included in elementary school or advocating for improvements in our school lunches in middle school, they always encouraged me to speak up, take action, and look for solutions. Those experiences helped shape the way I approach challenges today and gave me the confidence to start projects like the SafeNet.
I love that. I think civic engagement from a younger age is really important, and I love that you have that since elementary school too. Okay, so looking ahead, what are some goals you hope to accomplish with the SafeNet in the next few years?
I hope to grow the SafeNet into more than just an online platform, because for thousands of years, society has built systems to recognize and respond to physical crimes. But the online world has only existed for a few decades, and because of that, many people still feel alone when they experience digital threats or scams, and they don't always know where to turn. I want the SafeNet to help change that by reminding people that they're not alone and that they should never feel like they are to blame. I want cybersecurity education to go directly into schools, libraries, community centers, and retirement homes because online scams can affect anyone, regardless of age. My goal is to make digital safety education accessible, practical, and easy to understand. Looking at a larger scale, I'd love to advocate for cybersecurity to become a standard part of the school curriculum. Technology plays such a major role in our lives, and yet students are rarely taught how to protect themselves online. I want to help change that and create a future where online safety is treated as an essential life skill.
Okay, great. So we're gonna go into our fun segment next. So outside of cybersecurity, what are some hobbies or interests that help you recharge?
Outside of cybersecurity, my main hobby is singing. Ask anyone I know, and they'll tell you that there's never a time I'm not singing. Music is woven into everything that I do. It helps me relax, energize, cheer up all at the same time. Along with that, I'm also a huge movie fan. I love spending my nights watching movies with popcorn.
I love that. What's your favorite movie?
That's hard to pick. I like comedy movies though. Any comedy movies really
I
good.
agree. Okay, great. And if you could instantly become an expert in any subject besides cybersecurity, what would it be and why?
I'd probably pick psychology because I'm fascinated by how the brain works and how people think, learn, and respond to different experiences. It's hard to believe that every time you make a decision, millions of neurons are fired up in the brain, and it's only the size of your two fists put together. I think that's such an incredible thing that happens in your body, and becoming an expert at it would be like a dream.
That does sound cool. I didn't actually know that. Okay, so looking ahead, where do you hope the SafeNet will be in the next few years?
In the next few years, I see the SafeNet growing into more than just an online platform. I want it to be a movement that makes cybersecurity education accessible to everyone. We're grateful to have partnered with the National Center for Victims of Crime, and I hope to continue building that partnership by expanding our outreach and creating more opportunities to educate and support communities.
Great. And if someone listening wants to make a difference in their community but feels like they're too young to create change, what advice would you give them?
I think that age should never stop you from making a change because you only get one shot at life, and you shouldn't let anything stop you from leaving your imprint on the world. And I feel like they should start with finding solutions to small problems that they see, and then they'll know how to grow from there.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so if anyone wants to reach out to you to support the SafeNet, where can they reach out?
They can reach out on our social media, the SafeNet. We're on Instagram and TikTok, and then they can either privately message us on there, or I can share the email with you in the chat if that works.
Okay, yeah, we'll put it up for the viewers at the end.
Okay.
So you can share it with me. And then
Okay.
thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story. It's been a pleasure learning about more about your journey starting the SafeNet, your passions, and the work you're doing to make a difference. And to everyone listening, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode.